So Brazil, some estimate that it's currently ranked as fourth in terms of consumption, which is not usually surprising given the size of the population in Brazil. From a production point of view, it's still lagging behind quite a bit, and there's a lot of ground to make up from an industry perspective. The potential is there, and what I'm starting to see in Brazil and South America as a whole is companies starting to take advantage of the local market, the potential for business within the region. Even just a few years ago, most of the activity from a development point of view was targeted to outside of the country because of the piracy. Companies weren't able to make money, at home. They had to export to North American or European markets. And so what we're seeing now is because of new digital models, digital platforms, and new business models, companies in Brazil are able to sell into Brazil or the South American market. So there is tremendous potential that's underexplored, and in fact, what many people don't realize is games are culture. They're pop culture. They're a form of art and entertainment that is it's cultural expression, and so consumers of a certain culture do appreciate and do enjoy content that's created for their own culture. And so as cultural output, it makes a lot of sense for Brazilians to be making games for other Brazilians, or South Americans to be making games for other South Americans. And so there's a lot of potential there as opposed to what's happening currently, which is a lot of importation of American or European or Japanese made games. So tremendous potential there. And in fact, one example that comes to mind is in Mexico, where Mexico was also in a situation where they were primarily creating for export, and only recently, due to the new business models and digital platforms, did we see a company create a game, a Facebook game actually, targeted towards Mexican and South American or Latin American players based on a popular children's cartoon called El Chavo. And within, I think, just over a month, they had 2 million users subscribed to that game on Facebook. And it's the first sort of real success on that platform in that style coming out of Mexico. And who would have known that would have been possible even just a couple of years ago? So a small studio in Mexico creating a game based on Latin intellectual property, and in a very short time frame, 2 million users. So there's definitely potential for that kind of success, and even more so in Brazil. The regions that have great potential, that are not already doing extremely well, would be a lot of the Southeast Asian countries that are coming online and really taking advantage of digital marketplaces and new business models. And then, of course, South America, a lot of the Latin countries, there's a lot of opportunity. Previously, those regions were more susceptible to piracy because of the hard goods, the actual CD in a box. There's a lot of black market activity, but now that a lot of the game industry is moving purely digital, purely online, and exploring new digital business models, we're starting to see the growth, exponential growth of games as business, not just playing games, but the business of games growing in the South American region. Right now in the game industry, the United States is really considered the leader in terms of game production, and is also the leader in terms of game consumption, game sales. Really is the dominant market. Close behind would be the Japanese, both in terms of production and consumption. And you see a lot of games being played and bought in the Asian region, particularly in China and South Korea. Europe collectively is also a very large consumer of games and game production. South America, we're starting to see that grow more and more. Canada, surprisingly, despite a relatively small population, is ranked third in the world behind the United States and Japan in terms of game production. When I look at games, when I think about the game industry, I always look at it through three lenses. One is a technological lens, all of the technology and software and hardware that goes into creating and building games. Another lens is the business lens, how to monetize, how to make money, where does the funding come from, all of that business elements, how to market and sell, etc., etc. And then the third lens is a cultural lens or design or aesthetic lens that I use to consider and evaluate games and the game industry. And so different regions, different cultures, different companies have strengths and weaknesses in those three areas. And so when you start looking at potential for collaboration, you can look at those three areas. So for example, does Canada have stronger technology or tools that it can use or Brazilians can use and leverage to help create games in a more optimized manner? So is there potential for collaboration from a technological point of view? Then you look at the business side. Where is funding coming from? What type of tax incentives and funding regimes exist? What are the business models that can be exploited in one country versus another? And so, are there areas from a business point of view that can be had? And then the third, the cultural or the design element. What can each country learn from the other in terms of artistic style, design and gameplay, aesthetics, and also just sort of cultural norms? I think it's very hard for a Canadian studio using Canadian technology and Canadian business knowledge to bring content to Brazil or even any other country in the world without some degree of cultural understanding of what a given culture appreciates or is attuned to. So my advice to Brazil really would be to create this environment for success, or rather to think about it as an ecosystem, and really to incorporate industry, government, and academia all together, working together, focused on this notion of talent development and the development of original intellectual property.